Tonight on Aboriginal Mythbusters. Do Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people get houses for free?
So let's just see how this goes. Fingers crossed. Hello, I'm Aboriginal. I'm here for my free house. I'll take that one, please. Oh, thank you. What's this?
Mythbusters!
Welcome to Tonightly. My name is Tom Ballard. Great show for you tonight. We've got another guest for NAIDOC Week. Joining me will be member of the Northern Territory Legislative Assembly and suicide prevention advocate, Ngaree Jane R. Kitt. Everyone will be here. That'll be good. Okay, obviously the big news everybody's talking about, the good news.
They're all out. After 18 days trapped underground, all 12 boys and their soccer coach are now free from that Thailand cave.
The boys are out, people! Fuck that cave! 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 You know that cave? Fuck that cave! All right, enough, thank you. We get it. Such good news, very exciting. The good news resulted in some pretty surprising interviews.
How does everyone feel? How have everyone been feeling watching this?
Imagine that, no countries. You know that song?
I know that song.
God, I love that guy so much! So good. Of course, up until that point, they'd all be singing, help. Thank you. They'd also been singing, and get back to where you once belonged. Outside the cave, that is. Fuck you guys, we got 10 minutes of cave gear. You better get on board. They got out, everyone! Of course, they're also singing the lesser-known Ringo B-side, I sure would like to not be in that cave. Funny story, he wrote that when he was stuck in a well. Oh, boy. I loved all the speculating that everybody did during the whole hoo-ha. Here's Virginia Trioli on ABC News Breakfast imagining the important role that meditation must have played in the boys' well-being.
We call it mindfulness here in Australia now these days, would have been, I'm sure, central to keeping those boys grounded and calm and as so many have remarked, so serene and smiling when the rescuers finally found them after 9 days there.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible they were smiling when the rescuers arrived because of the meditation. I can say it's equally possible they were smiling because they were being rescued! That would have quite a zen effect on you, I think. And just to tip people in the media, if you're going to have experts on, please listen to the actual words that they're saying. Just listen to what Channel 7 anchor Michael Usher said after an expert talked about the possible psychological problems the boys could be facing.
That number of people is going to be a spectrum of some doing very well, and unfortunately there, I hope not, one or two that may really have some psychological troubles.
Terrific.
No, not terrific, Michael Usher! That is cold, Michael Usher, even for you. Are you on the side of the cave? Fuck that cave! All right. Of course, we all wanted to know what it might be like to be trapped in the cave. Enter graphical depictions of said cave.
And if we took a hypothetical cross-section, we can explain why the boys are trapped there and why it's so hard to get them out. Say they came in down here. As they walked through the cave, they would have gone up and down and up and down.
Oh no! That guy is trapped in a graphical representation of the cave! Someone get him out! He's trapped. I think my favourite graphic of all was this BBC one showing how divers swim with boys. Really brings it alive, doesn't it? I feel like I'm a little boy just watching it. Now the rescue is over, it's time to acknowledge the unsung hero of the whole mission, Elon Musk. Earlier this week, Musk and his engineers built and tested a mini-submarine for the boys to be carried out in. Because we all know the best way to help frightened kids who are trapped in a small, dark space is to cram them into an even smaller, darker space underwater. We know the cave was very cramped, of course. At its most narrow, it was about the width of an adult human's head, or
3 Mars bars into one.
Thank you, Koshi. Still good. So, how did Elon Musk's rescue mission go?
He's brought with him a special submarine small enough for the mission, but increasingly it's looking like it won't be needed.
We've just seen some tweets from him, which he has put up just in the past hour or so. He says he's brought with him his submarine, which is made from rocket parts, and he says he's going to leave it there just in case it is needed to help in the rescue.
Yeah, Elon Musk rocked up to the cave with his mini submarine that he spent ages working on, millions of dollars, and the rescue operator said, "No thanks." Come on, it'll work. Let me try the fucking submarine. Put the kids back in. I'll give it another go. Come on. So people are suspicious about Elon Musk's attempt. I would like to hear from another expert, please.
Look, I think that was a perfect idea. The only thing would be for a capsule to fit a small boy in would still have to be a reasonable size, and would it fit through that tight section? I'd actually liken it to, trying to fit a refrigerator inside a small car. It just tries your might. You're just not going to get it through.
Yeah, so it was a perfect idea, except that it's too big and it wouldn't work. Apart from that, though, awesome idea. Thanks, Elon. Tell you what, there was one group of people particularly thrilled that the rescue was a success.
The Thailand cave rescue mission could soon become a Hollywood movie.
Hollywood executives and producers are already on the ground interviewing those involved.
We're here really looking at this as a movie that could inspire millions of people across the globe.
Just think, soon we could all be inspired by that thing we lived through just hours ago. Well, I wonder who's going to play Koshi. Ooh! I think it's going to be great. I love the idea of a movie. I think Hollywood will treat this incredible story with the dignity and respect that it deserves.
Okay, everybody, I have 2 words. Cave boys. They're hot, they're current, they're trending, they're now. Hit me with your ideas.
I had 2 questions. Firstly, is this ethical?
Okay, we take real-life disasters and make millions of dollars from them all the time as Hollywood. Next.
How's this going to translate to the screen? I mean, they were just sitting in the dark, meditating. It'll be like a silent movie without any visuals.
Okay, I hear you, but also, we're storytellers. We tell stories. Give me your ideas.
What if it's a thriller?
A psychological thriller.
The cave was in his mind all along.
It's called Mind Cave.
12 years a cave.
They were only down there for 18 days.
Okay, Australia, but cave time works differently than real time.
Mm-hmm. Cave heart.
No, Mel Gibson, no.
Oh, sorry.
What if one of them is a girl?
That would never work.
What if all of them are girls?
Yeah, that could work.
And they're all gay or trans or people of color?
Yes.
Gay cave.
That is really offensive.
Okay, circling back to the original idea, who are we thinking? Which actors?
Well, I think for the coach it should be Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Andy Serkis for The Cave.
Jack Black plays all 12 K-boys.
I love that, because then it's a comedy musical,
yes.
right? That's great. Acoustics in the cave, I'm loving that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in a cave!
Oh, there she is! Let me out of the cave! I'm writing all that down.
All these actors are white. Like, can we at least have one Thai actor?
You're so funny! You're so funny!
You're a funny guy. But no. What if they have animal sidekicks? Zac Efron!
We shouldn't forget that one rescuer did die.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so right.
And he can come back as a ghost and save the day.
Oh my god, he can avenge his father!
I love it!
I love it too. You guys, we're done here. We're done.
All right, you write the script, we'll do the code. All right. Bye.
Hey.
This is going to be the shittest film of all time.
Winner of 14 Academy Awards, selected for the Cannes Film Festival. In a world where people live above the ground, 12 boys dare to dream they could get trapped in a cave.
Hello?
But they weren't alone.
Is there anyone there?
Cave boys.
Oh no, I'm stuck in a cave!
In cinemas near you. Hashtag Cave Boys.
Tonight on Aboriginal Mythbusters. Is Is there any truth about the other stereotype about black men? Not in this case. Myth busted!
I think we've had enough talk of cave boys. Let's move on to sport. Massive night for sport right now. Please welcome tonightly sport reporter Makadaka for another edition of Cup This.
Right, thanks, Tom. With the World Cup heading towards the final, everyone is going soccer mad. But forget England, forget France, forget Croatia. There is one team that has really stolen the show. The Wild Boars, ladies and gentlemen. These boys, they played a tough game, all right? They went in hard, straight down the line and secured the win. It was a real nail-biter right up to the hooter. Very touch and go with a phenomenal amount of extra time. But full credit to the boys. They got the job done. But you got to hand it to the Cave. The Cave played well. It had favourable weather conditions, obviously a home ground advantage. And what a defensive game. Managing to hold on to those boys for as long as it could. But it couldn't convert that advantage to points. It just couldn't defeat those mighty, mighty Cave boys. Let's bring up the stats here and have a look. The numbers, they really speak for themselves. I mean, you got 8,000 running metres there. Well, running / swimming. It's more of a biathlon effort there. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. 18 days in the opposition half. 18 days. I mean, no red cards. 2 out of 3 conversions kicked. I don't know what that means exactly. Now, the Cave still sits at the top of the ladder, though, so I'm sure that next monsoon season, it'll be back in full force, ready to stage a comeback. Back to you, Tom.
I mean, that was an incredible performance. I just thought we were going to move on from Cave Boy stuff. I was really hoping we'd just sort of talk about sport. Do you have anything else to say about, like, the World Cup?
Oh, the World Cup! Oh, yes, absolutely, Tom. Sorry about that. Yes, big news in the World Cup front. FIFA have officially extended a grand final invitation to the Cave Boys.
What?
I love these bloody Cave Boys. Come on, the Cave Boys. Get up there, son. Fucking go hard, son.
Stop dancing like that.
Sorry.
And yelling Cave Boys.
Cave Boys. I love Cave Boys.
I know you love Cave Boys, but what about the State of Origin? That's on tonight. Have you got anything to say about that?
I don't think the Cave Boys are at the State of Origin.
No, forget the Cave Boys. What about Queensland? What do you think of their chances?
Queensland chances of what? They're not even in a cave.
No, stop talking about the Cave Boys, all right? I'm over the Cave Boys. What about Wimbledon?
Well, Tom, even if there was no cave-related news whatsoever, I still wouldn't give a fuck about tennis. All right? I would do anything rather than watch that god-awful sport. God, I'd even spend bloody time, I don't know, trapped in a cave.
Okay, well, you're right there, Makadaka. Tennis is the worst thing on the face of the earth.
That's absolutely correct.
Makadaka, everybody!
Tonight on Aboriginal Mythbusters. Do Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have vast local and cultural knowledge?
Hey, mate, you're one of them. Can you tell me where the local Aboriginal council is?
No idea. How should I know? He's bloody Google Maps like everyone else does, mate.
Must have been an Indian.
Hey, everybody, keep it going to the wonderful Andy Saunders, who gave us those Aboriginal Mythbusters. Very good. All right, now, let us please talk about some stuff that doesn't involve a cave.
As we reported on Friday, the shake-up in the bike share industry is continuing, with another 2 businesses pulling out. Chinese-backed OFO is leaving Australia to concentrate on its international operations. Another operator, Ready Go, is also reportedly winding up in Sydney and giving away bikes.
It's got people wondering whether it would be better to have a bike sharing system where you have to dock it when you're finished. I think this is just Australia being a bunch of jerks.
Whoa! Back off, Sarah Harris. Australians aren't a bunch of jerks. That's an Americanism. We're a bunch of wankers, thank you very much. We are a bunch of wankers, and we will park our shitty share bikes wherever the goddamn hell we please. Hey, the sign says no standing. It doesn't say no hanging. That is freedom, baby. Fuck you, social contract. We love dubbing these things wherever the hell we want. I think they even found one in the goddamn cave. That's true. I can't believe they got one in there. Someone who's very happy about the collapse of these bike-sharing companies in the Australian market is City columnist Miranda Devine, who wrote in News Corp today, "Good riddance to the dumbest idea on two wheels." It's not true, Miranda, okay? Share bikes are not the dumbest thing on two wheels. Sorry, bit parched. Now, Miranda writes about these bikes that she hates so much, quite poetically, I must say. For example, like this: "The tangled wreckage of vandalised bikes reveals a wide streak of insubordination in this convict-rooted city." Ah, yes, the winter comes ever closer, and soon Mother Nature's frost shall settle upon the discarded pedals and baskets of the share bikes all over this convict-rooted city. This city rooted in convicts. This city rooted by convicts. Soon, my love, I wish to have a bike of my own, so that I may carry myself away to ye and cop a root. Miranda seems quite proud of how much people in Sydney hate these freaking bikes. Our hills, our mandatory helmet laws, our inhospitable roads and our sheer bloody mindedness defeated them. Yes, take that, you stupid bikes. You're inanimate objects and we human beings defeated you. Our grandparents won the world wars, our parents won the Cold War, and now we have defeated share bicycles. Yes. Yes! We shall dump them on the beaches! We shall dump them in the air! And we shall dump them in our shopping trolleys! It's time now for another guest to reflect on NAIDOC Week 2018. Remember that tomorrow night we've got live music from Alice Skye and Emily Waramara on the show, everyone! Tune in for that. Tonight, it's Ngaree Jane R. Kitt. She's a member of the Labor government in the Northern Territory. She's the Assistant Minister for Suicide Prevention, Mental Health and Disabilities, Assistant Minister for Seniors and Youth, and is also part of the Territory's Aboriginal Affairs Subcommittee. Yeah, well, I'm the host of this show, and I also have to coordinate the office footy tipping. That's a lie. I don't know how that works. I spoke with Ngaree about what life is like for young black kids in the Territory at the moment, earlier in the week. Hi, Ngaree Jane R. Kitt. Happy NAIDOC.
Happy NAIDOC to you, Tom.
Woo! The theme is because of her we can. Have you got a fierce black woman role model in your life?
The one person I really wanted to acknowledge and thank and pay homage to this week is my mum.
Your mum, Gail, is that right?
Yes, and my mum is a proud Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander woman. She's been quite independent and resilient from a very young age. My mum's just always been a wonderful, inspirational lady who was able to just push forward in life and support us kids and my dad, John, in everything that he wanted to achieve.
Well, your dad, Jack, was the first Indigenous minister for the Northern Territory. You are an ambitious politician as well. We have this adorable photo of you when you were 8 years old in 1989, holding a mocked-up front cover of the Northern Territory News, asking whether or not you are going to be the first Aboriginal woman Prime Minister of Australia from the 1st of January 2020. You've got 2 years to do it. Are you going to get there, Ngaree?
I'm still optimistic, but I think I've run out of time, Tom. It's a question that comes up quite frequently. But I'm happy to be a proud member of the government in the Northern Territory and the member for Karama. So I'll settle for that at this stage.
You've got to start stabbing people in the back now.
I just don't have it in me.
Well, you are the Assistant Minister for Youth in the Northern Territory. How would you sum up the situation for Indigenous young people in the Territory right now?
I can't speak for all of the young Indigenous people right throughout the Northern Territory, but what I can say is that we've made the headlines for all the wrong reasons in the recent past, with the mistreatment of a 2-year-old young Aboriginal girl in Tennant Creek and the very, very high incarceration rates of our young Indigenous people. So I wouldn't say that it is a very happy environment at this stage.
We hear these headlines that are kind of mind-blowing. As of June this year, 100% of the kids in youth detention are Indigenous. In response to the Don Dale Royal Commission, the NT government allocated $71.4 million to rebuilding Dondale and the Alice Springs Youth Detention Centre, but just $10 million on diversion programs. Isn't that a little bit out of whack?
When I first looked at it, I guess I was a bit surprised as well. Rather than just refurbish what we've currently got, I agree wholeheartedly that the money needed to be set aside to build a new facility, not taking away from being very proactive and providing more supports and more activities and better engagement for our kids so we can support them and their families and their communities to get off to a really good start and avoid the justice system altogether.
There is this huge amount of focus on Tennant Creek at the moment after this horrific story of a 2-year-old child allegedly being raped. We've heard there are about 8,000 Aboriginal kids who have suffered some sort of abuse and neglect in the Northern Territory. How much can the state actually step in and make things better for Indigenous kids?
I do believe that the way forward for any government outcome is to empower and resource and enable our community to be that difference. The government and public servants, we can't do and solve everything, and that's just the harsh reality. But what we can do is support our non-government organisations and our communities going forward to make sure that we've got a nurturing environment where our kids are protected first and foremost.
It kind of seems an impossible situation because either the government isn't doing enough, and we've heard about, in that case of that particular 2-year-old, there were 52 notifications relating to that child or his siblings, like documented over a long period of time. So it just seems like people weren't listening or weren't correctly notified and a horrible thing allegedly happened. Or the government does get involved with something like John Howard's intervention and arguably make things a whole lot worse.
Yeah, and that's two really good, I guess, viewpoints and examples to use there, Tom. So with going forward, what my government has done is taken on board, you know, the key findings out of that 2-year-old situation, the fact that there were more than 50 notifications, and why weren't agencies talking to each other? But more importantly, rather than lay the blame on the services and on government agencies or on the family themselves, what we need to look at is what we can do to improve this going forward. How do we make sure that another child isn't abused, isn't neglected, isn't, you know, growing up in a situation that they shouldn't be? I don't think government or any other area of our community is ever going to be 100% perfect, but we can definitely get better. Now, there is no situation in anywhere in the world, let alone the Northern Territory, where it's okay for a child to be abused. So I think all Territorians and all Australians and everyone around the world is on the same page there, Tom.
You are a member of the Labor government. You said the Howard government's intervention set some communities back about 30 years. Do you think it was a mistake for federal Labor to commit to continuing with the intervention?
I understand why it was done, but I don't appreciate the way that it was done, and I don't think many other people do. So the unintended consequences of that federal legislation really disempowered Aboriginal people and Aboriginal communities. I have heard stories that there have been some communities who were strengthened. I have spoken to Aboriginal women in remote communities in the Katherine region who told me when I worked for the intervention that there were good points from it, that the kids were clothed and they were happy and that the violence had come down. Now, anything that government or anyone else can do to improve our communities is a bonus. But what I found really hard, as somebody who worked in the intervention and as an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Territorian and really invested in that space, was the way that it was done. I mean, having your army tanks roll into remote communities in Central Australia, what was missing from that whole intervention, Tom, and the planning around it was engagement with the people. Now, by not including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in those discussions going forward, that's where the disempowerment stemmed from.
Well, Ngaree J. Narkit, thank you so much for your time. Happy NAIDOC Week and hope to talk to you again.
Happy NAIDOC Week, Tom. Thanks for having me, and I just encourage everyone around Australia to get out and be involved with your NAIDOC Week celebrations.
There you go. Ngaree J. Narkit, everybody. That's our show done for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you liked it.